Welcome to the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Braylon Edwards, touchdown, Michigan.
Running pattern to Edwards, touchdown, Michigan.
Where we bring you the best in sports, entertainment, and insight. Join us every weekday from 2 to 4 p.m. as we break down the latest games, analyze the biggest plays, and dive into the hottest topics in sports. We'll have exclusive interviews with your favorite athletes and guests, and you'll get a front row seat to all the action. So tune in to the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Got one-on-one going end zone. Edwards in the air. Oh, what a catch by Braylon Edwards. His second touchdown of the game.
On the Woodward Sports Network, where sports comes to life.
We are both fresh off the golf course and fresh for another week of the Braylon Edwards Show here on Woodward Sports. Ricky is here, Kool-Aid is here, the man himself, Braylon Edwards, is here, and we're glad you're with us on this edition, this Monday edition of the Braylon Edwards Show. Hope you had a great weekend, my friend.
I did, man. I hope you had the same. Watched a little golf, spent a little time with the family, got out on the course as always, played. Okay, I told you I'm over scrambles. Played another scramble on Saturday, and I just, I played okay, but I'm just over it. Like, I like playing my own shots. Today, I just got off the golf course at Oakland Hills, one of the greatest courses in the state, the American Cancer Society outing, and I'm mad I had to leave. Like, I was playing the best golf that I played in a while, but they don't play scrambles on the South Course, because I was actually playing Oakland Hills South, which, is the course that they just renovated, et cetera, et cetera. They played two-man best ball. They played best ball, two best ball. Oh. So 4 people and then 2 best balls. So you play your own ball the whole round. I was playing good. Shep, when I tell you, number 17, dog leg right, long drive, check at Oakland, and then also net eagle based on my handicap. So, which if you don't know golf, that's a straight-up birdie. Yeah. Net eagle on that. So I was feeling really good, played well, and now I'm here ready to do this show. Lots happening in the sports world,
there's the difference. I was playing at a golf outing today to help Midnight Golf, which is an awesome situation for them at Plum Hollow, which is a really underrated golf course.
I want to play there so bad.
I love Plum.
You'll like it. It's nice.
Cool.
And I couldn't wait to get here.
9 Mile Lazar.
It's not that I wanted to leave. It's just I couldn't wait to get here because I can't wait to get some of your opinions on some of the things that are taking place in the world of sports. At Plum Hollow, since I was there with some friends of ours from the Detroit Pistons, Rick Mahorn was there. My friend Rick Mahorn, he was greeting a lot of people in there, and we got to talking about back in his day and his friend Buddha Edwards, who is getting up there in age.
That's what I said next to at the AMPS game.
Nice.
I sat next to Buddha, Edwards and Edwards.
Yeah, that's right. Edwards
always wanted to meet him and have a conversation.
Well, you were really all over the place at the AMPS game. You weren't necessarily sitting. I mean, you were all over the place getting pictures, which is awesome because you're the man of the people. But it got me thinking a little bit. Who's the baddest ass in Detroit sports?
History or now?
History.
I was going to say, because just real quick, man, if I could say for right now, I still think it's Rick Mahorn, man. I saw him still in a wheelchair celebrity basketball event he participated in, and he was still out there up to his old tactics, bro. Still, I got video. I will find it.
There's a show before ours that some people would strongly shade toward that dude is a badass, Darren McCarty. But, I mean, I'm just wondering all time. There's a couple of names that come to mind for me. Go ahead.
It's tough when you get into all time. I mean, I don't see 2 people contending with Ndamukong Suh and Ben Wallace. But the other thing about it, too, is it's going to be a football guy. If you say anybody outside a football guy, then I think the definition of a tough guy is what's perceived as a tough guy. Because ain't nobody tougher than Penei Sewell in the city right
That's
now.
who I was going to say.
And to be honest, it's not close. Nobody wants to get locked up. Got 6'5", 330 pounds, Samoan Penei Sewell. Nobody wants that smoke.
I agree.
So let's just leave it. Let's leave it at that and have some fun with it.
Yeah.
Eliminate the football guys.
Yeah. Okay, eliminate the football guys. I mean, Bob Probert's in that conversation. Bob Probert was one of the baddest asses in NHL history. His tag team badass brother of Joey Kosu was there. But let me give
Joey's
you
outing is today.
It is today.
Yeah,
I know. You got invited, Kool-Aid, and I missed that outing. There's 2 names for me.
Okay.
All right? Okay. So one is Gordie Howe. Gordie Howe was a bad man. And not because of the Gordie Howe hat trick in which he only had one his entire career, a goal, an assist, and a fight in the same game. He was just other players did not mess with him. Period. Okay, because they knew what he would bring. There was a mutual respect, but they also understood just how tough he truly was. And I would say, so he's definitely in that conversation. And the other one, and this might surprise people, and I think when we use the word, who's the toughest guy, we look for the biggest, the baddest. I mean, Penei Sewell, I get it. You know, and Ndamukong Suh, his size. Isaiah Thomas was a tough dude.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying he's the baddest dude. I'm just telling you, when you talked about the bad boys, you talked of two guys. You talked of Mahorn, you talked of Lambeer. And I think people underestimated Isaiah Thomas. You want to look at the ankle sprain, 25 points in the third quarter against the Lakers in the 1988 championship series. You want to look at the cut above the eye against Karl Malone. The fact that he was more diminutive and wasn't afraid to go inside, was willing to go inside and battle some of the biggest guys the league has ever had. I think he's in the conversation.
Yeah, 100%. You know, he led by example in all ways, whether it was fighting Bill Lambeer, whether it was fighting anybody you put in front of him from the Lakers or the Celtics or the Bullets or, whoever they were fighting with at that time, the Hawks. I mean, he's got some notable battles with Tree Rollins, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So, he was, and he would tell you about it. He didn't mind scrapping you. He was 6 foot, 6'1", if you want to give him that extra inch, and he was from Southside Chicago, and you would see it when you meet him. So, 100%. To your point, it's not about being the biggest, the tallest, the bad. It's just about being in the fight. And, for him, it was that way. I think as it relates to Ben Wallace, and I know we say his name all the time. Yeah. I know it's, Ben Wallace, it's the guy, it's Fear the Fro. Just because we say something all the time doesn't mean it's not true. Guys were scared of him. Yeah. Ron Artest was one of the baddest dudes in the NBA in his time. And the Malice in the Palace, that particular night, this is when Ron Artest was really in his prime as a disruptor in the sport, as a disruptor on defense, as somebody you didn't want to mess with, whether you thought he was stronger than you or you thought he was crazy. Keep in mind, this is 2004 we're talking about. We don't use the term now, but back then, this guy's crazy. I don't want to mess with him. Yeah. He didn't want any parts of Ben Wallace. Nobody in the NBA wanted any parts of Ben Wallace. Shaquille O'Neal talked all that stuff to everybody else in the NBA. But when he played against the going-to-work Pistons, he wanted no smoke, and he was on his very, very, very best behavior when it came to number 3. Like, just think about that. For all the stuff Shaq talks, all the people you've seen Shaq go against, and all the moments, when he played against the Pistons, he was very polite. Yeah. Because he didn't want Ben Wallace to go against his head. So I think when you have someone that's called the most dominant player in NBA's history, whether you agree with it or not, it's thrown out there. For him to be scared, I think that lets you know what Ben Wallace was in that era.
And Ben Wallace went about it in a very quiet manner, which sometimes can be even scarier. There was a story way back in the day when Gordie Howe played against the Rangers. Lou Fonitano was their bad dude, right? And he squared off with Gordie Howe. If you look at the pictures, broken nose and needed, the back in the day they had it was really ugly, but it had obviously something over his nose, but the tape all across his face just to hold it on there. It just didn't it just didn't. It just didn't end well. And the I think the headline in some of the New York papers are "Don't mess with Gordie Howe." I mean, Stan Mikita did something to Howe one time, and he said the next time I was back on the bench, I didn't know where I was because Howe had believably or allegedly slipped his hand out of the glove, drilled him in the jaw, slipped his glove back on. Nobody saw it but the backup goalie at the time for Chicago. Yeah. There are certain guys, like you say, I mean, there's an aura about them. And I think two of the guys we've been talking about, Probert guys wanted to challenge because they wanted to see if they could handle it. They wanted the belt. They didn't always get the belt. Him and Kosar were two of the toughest dudes ever to play in the NHL. But we're pretty fortunate here in Detroit because we've had some of those guys that other cities and other teams look at and go, man, do not mess with them.
Take me through some of the Tigers because I think it's easy to kind of, pick Lions players. You can just look at who was the biggest guy, who had the most penalties. Basketball, we got Bad Boys, Pistons. You can pick and choose some of that roster. I know this guy was a tough guy. This guy was a tough guy. Baseball. Who were some of the tough guys in the 80s when they were winning, 84, 85, they came up close? Who are some of those guys?
So I'll give you three guys. I'll give you three guys from back in those days. Yeah. Gibby's obviously one of them.
100%.
Okay. was never afraid of anybody. Challenged Cliff Johnson when he was a rookie, and Cliff Johnson was a big dude playing for Toronto. Gibby said, meet me up in the tunnel as soon as I'm done with batting practice. I'll be waiting for you, big boy.
That's the
so
football
let me know.
side of him
Okay, that's
coming
the
out.
football side. It sure is.
Side.
Lance Parrish, who could have played at UCLA as a quarterback, but he was just a huge – look, he was Tina Turner's bodyguard, all right? You didn't mess with Lance Parrish, but I'm going to give you a quiet one that is similar to that of what you talked about with Ben Wallace. Larry Herndon, who played for the Tigers, played left field, was one of those quiet guys, but when it came to defending your teammates, when there was some type of foray into the middle of the field, he would take guys and ragdoll them out of the pile. He was a big, strong dude. Larry Herndon was an underrated badass.
I got 2 football players, and they're not from the Detroit Lions. It's from Michigan. Person 1, John Runyon. Like, nobody want to smoke. Like, Runyon scared the hell out of everybody. And him and Jake Long, like, you talking about number 77, but you're talking about 6'7", 6'8", 335 pounds when they get their hands on you.
Beasts.
Just monsters. Like, just legitimate monsters. Another guy, speaking of, like, the quiet side of things, he didn't necessarily talk the most. But if you got grabbed up, Lamar Woodley.
Oh, absolutely.
Lamar Woodley. I've seen Lamar check some guys in the middle of a game. We were playing against Iowa. We're playing against Iowa, and their offensive linemen were, like, going low at his knees, checking him at his knees, trying to take out his ankles, trying to take out his legs. And after about a quarter and a half, it's maybe going into the second half, going into halftime, all you saw was Lamar get inside the breastplate of the guard, grab him, and he was right here, and he's in his face talking this close. Shep, you look down at the ground, his feet were literally, this was all that was on the ground. All his feet were off the ground. Lamar had him because he was being such a dirty player. Lamar's got a bunch of those little moments. When I run into guys that I played against in college that played against Lamar, he's one of the first people when they come up to me and they want to talk about. He's like, man, we used to hate 56. Like 56 was special in terms of he was scared of hell. Lamar Woodley. He's one of those guys.
I believe that.
Yeah, Lamar.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
But join us in the chat if you got somebody that maybe we overlooked. I would love to hear it. I do. I worked with Mark Spindler for a while.
Spin dog.
And Spindler played for the Lions and played for the Bears. 6'5", 335, huge man.
Son's at Notre Dame, right?
Son did play at Notre Dame. I transferred to Nebraska, I believe, for his final year. Anyway, one time, Spindler literally picked me up, and it's not like I'm a big guy, but as if I was this helmet. Just a ragdoll. Picked me up. He says, let me ask you a question. And I am towering above him. My feet, 5 feet off the ground. What do you do if a guy like me grabs you like this?
You call Ben Johnson. Right? You call Ben Johnson. Because he is a fighter, and let Ben fight for you. You don't have to fight your battle. Ben will fight him for you.
I would have to stay alive first.
Yeah. True.
But he made it seem like I was lifting this pen.
Yeah.
That was it. That's how strong
What do
this
you do
dude
with
is.
a guy?
You got to think of like what he's used to doing. Like,
I know, but
spin
still.
on the defensive side of the ball. He's used to going offensive line, opposite side of the ball. But you're used to being in those trenches with these gorillas that are 300-plus pounds. Yeah. When you get a regular human, if you will, it's easy. Oh. It's light work.
It's been fun, though. I mean, to be able to watch a lot of these guys and be the epitome of what Detroit usually stands for. I mean, you know that. I mean, as a Detroiter yourself, there is a certain edge, a certain toughness, a certain feel. I always found it funny when we would go on road trips and we'd be in New York and people would say, they'd bow up to you and say, man, this is New York. And I would oftentimes say, dude, I'm from Detroit. Shut up. I mean, give me a break. What do you think?
And
New York is some
Shep,
special.
get me fired up,
are they
Shep?
some special, outlandish place in which Martians come from and no one can mess with them?
Right.
Have you ever been in downtown Detroit? Knock it off, okay?
There's lanes
different.
everywhere.
It was different.
Yeah, everywhere. There is. There's everywhere.
You can come from a tough neighborhood and still be a lane.
Right, but don't think that you're going to intimidate people from Detroit. That just doesn't happen.
But Detroit is one of those cities that holds and carries a different type of weight. Like, look, I've been traveling for years, but let's just start when I was in the NFL. Like, you go to cities, like Detroit's one of those ones, when you say it, people typically take a step back. Like, now, whether it's, because they're scared of the crime rate in the 80s, which was a valid thing that carried into the bad boys. But then the bad boys, when they were beating up people in the East and beating up people
still
in the
a thing
NBA,
now, but you're right. I mean,
100%. But that started it.
Yeah.
But then the bad boys, and then when we finally dropped the finesse, as you see in the background in '96, when Dan McCarty decided to do this '97, then we were no longer the finesse Red Wings. We became the physical Red Wings. The Pistons had that moniker. The Lions may not could win games, but the Lions would beat you up, courtesy of Chris Spillman, courtesy of Lomas Brown, courtesy of Rob Porcher, courtesy of Benny Blades, who would knock your head off. So we've always had a tough, in terms of the perception of what Detroit is. People are scared of Detroit. I go to L.A., yo, where you from, cuz? I'm like, I'm from Detroit. Oh, y'all crazy out there. Oh, what's Detroit like? So Detroit has always had that respect of people a little timid. So Baltimore, Philly, New Orleans, Miami, New York, Cleveland. Don't bring that to us. Detroit is a different thing, and it carries a different type of weight.
Even way back in the day. I know Dick Butkus got all the headlines, and rightfully so. He might have been the meanest player to ever play the sport.
I would agree with that.
But Dick Night Train Lane was a badass.
13 interceptions?
Joe Schmidt was a badass. Alex Karras was a badass. I mean, those guys represented Detroit. You know, Joe Schmidt had success, Dick Night Train Lane had success. May not have been always the winning that turned your head, but those guys could carry their own for sure.
That's why the cool thing about the Lions being in the spaces, you see Panay with the stiff arm, like the Lions becoming this physical team that they've been now since 2021, really took off 2022. You started seeing 23 and 4. It's not surprising. It's not one of those things where now they're the dominant team. We talked about it a little bit last week where they're kind of taking on the 49ers role. And after you play the Lions, it's tough. That's not surprising because Detroit has been like that. So it's good to return to that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because there's a couple of things. I want to get into Michigan for sure. I want your take on that. But regarding the Lions, just real quick, and then we can dive back into it. Yeah. I was reading something that former Lions offensive coordinator Ben Johnson said about Caleb Williams. And he said, no, I'm sorry. He was talking about Caleb Williams and how he's fitting in nicely. But it was more about what Sean McDermott said with the Bills. They got their asses kicked by the Bears the other night in a preseason game. And he said it's not up to our standards. So to that point, what you were saying, we always bring up culture. Maybe it's time for me to stop using the word culture so much and use the word standard. I think there's a new standard with the Lions and perhaps all of Detroit sports, but especially with the Lions. Culture is one thing. The culture is established. The standard is now something totally different than what we were used to when we watched this team.
The standard is different for the Detroit Lions. You're talking about preseason as well as
talking
the
about
season
in general. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's been built up differently. You've seen the Lions do something they haven't done in a very long time, but then you've seen them maintain it. I think it'd be different if 2022 you finish that season 8-2 and it was a hell of a story. You don't make the playoffs, and then you do what you typically do in 2023. You know, you come up short or you make the playoffs and you lose the first round. But I think you've seen a consistent build-up each year. Dan Campbell comes in, he says it's going to take us 3 years. Well, what happened in that 3 years? You were 9-8. You almost make the playoffs in 22. You're 12-5. You win the division in 23, and in 24 you go 15-2 and you win the NFC in terms of the best record. You're the number 1 seed. We know how that played out for them, but I think it's the new standard because it's consistent. Each year you see them taking strides, whether it's on the offensive side. You see them drafting on the defensive side and adding players so that the defense can match what the offense has done in the first couple of years. So I think the new standard is built out of consistency. And I think each year you're seeing the players themselves get better. Yeah. You know, look at the steps J-Mo took from year 1 to year 3. Look at what we believe he's going to do this year. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Panay Sewell. Look at Jared Goff, not a drafted player, but a free agent player. Look at the strides that he's taken as a player, as a leader on this team. So I think the things that you're seeing in terms of the standards change, that's because they've gotten consistent. They've gotten better. Player development is good. Leadership is good. They're getting better all around. The coaching has gotten better from 2021 to 2025, in my opinion. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's bringing in new coaches or it's whether Dan Campbell himself has become a better version.
Yeah, I've always wondered how the standard deviates at some point. You know, I mean, the Red Wings had such a high standard for such an extended period of time. And then it seemed to obviously dip, and it's been a serious problem. Is that the standard? Is it the talent? Is it the culture? Is it a combination of all?
Salary cap.
It sure seems like the Piston standard seems to be rising a little bit because that culture is different.
Yeah.
Thank you, Trajan Langdon. Thank you, J.B. Bickerstaff. Thank you, Cade Cunningham. The Tigers standard is starting to trend toward, the right way because A.J. Hinch has got a lot of, not just a really good staff, but he's got good young core players. I think with the Lions, because of that mix of young pros, just because you're 2 years in doesn't mean you can't be a veteran. You know, I think you can still be a bit of a leader on a team, depending on the age and some of the other guys. But overall, I like how they've mixed the guys who had a different standard at a different place.
Yeah.
And now these young guys have adopted that, and they've carried it and almost taken it to a higher level.
Yeah, I mean, I think you come in here and now you're proud. Like you're proud of something. Like you see what the Lions are from afar. Whether you're a free agent or whether you're a draft pick, say, man, Detroit Lions, I want to play there. Like I see what they're building. I see what they're about. You can see that through TV in terms of accountability is real here. You know what I'm saying? Being responsible for yourself. Coming in a certain way, knowing what you're supposed to do, and being able to police yourself when you're not in Detroit, when you're not in Allen Park, when you're away from this state, being able to police yourself. And I think players want to be a part of that. So when they come to Detroit, they don't want to be the one that gets sent away and misses out on what Detroit is doing. They don't want to be the one to come here and it doesn't work out, because if it doesn't work out, it's probably your fault. Because it's not anything that the Lions are doing. It's not anything that Dan Campbell is doing, so it must be something that you're doing. I think players feed into that. When I was coming out, you wanted to go to the program that was doing well. The Ravens were a well-oiled machine at the time. The Steelers were a well-oiled machine. The Indianapolis Colts were a well-oiled machine. The Green Bay Packers, same thing. So you wanted to be in one of these places because you knew I'm going to have great coaching. I'm going to have good teammates around me. I'll be able to learn. I'll be able to grow. I'll be able to ask questions. And when you get there, Detroit in that case, that's exactly what happens.
Well, look at your situation with Michigan. I mean, there's a certain standard there. You said it a couple of weeks ago. I wasn't ready for number one yet on the jersey. You had to reach a certain standard before you were going to wear the number. I know that's just a small example, but overall, there's a certain standard that just goes hand in hand with culture.
Yeah, I got to be accountable. I wasn't ready to be accountable in terms of being at meetings always on time. When I go to meetings, dialing into the film work. When I'm at practice, working and getting better, doing things when nobody's looking. That's the main thing. When nobody's looking, what are you doing? Are you watching film? Are you running routes? Are you in the weight room? Are you getting with another DB and saying, hey, let's go over some one-on-one stuff? Are you grabbing a quarterback and saying, let's just run over some of the routes? Are you grabbing a graduate trainer and saying, hey, look, just catch some passes for me if I'm a quarterback? Those are the things that you got to do if you want to go to the next level at any level. And in college, for me, it took me a couple years to kind of make that my mantra. I did, and the rest is history.
Speaking of your alma mater, speaking of Michigan, I know you were out Wednesday. You did send us a video clip that we played, but this is an opportunity for you to dive in a little bit more with the Michigan situation. It's still a hot topic in college football and sports in general. We will get to that on the Braylon Edwards Show when we come back. But first, speaking of champions, let's get to Ven Johnson, who is the ultimate people's champion.
Like I told you, he is the fighter, so let him fight for you justice. It means different things to different people. But whether it's a settlement or a verdict, justice is always worth the fight. With Ven Johnson, he is the fighter. He wants to fight for you, so let him. VenFights.com, that's how you get in touch. This firm right here, man, they are tough. They are tenacious, and they're trial lawyers, and that's what you want. You want somebody that can do both sides of it, whether it's a settlement or whether it's a trial. But they're ready for war, and they're ready to do it right. So come to Ven Johnson and let them fight for you.
And I know you're looking to upgrade your relaxation game. Check out Massage Chair House in Bloomfield Hills, man. It's the largest massage chair showroom in the Midwest with top brands of massage chairs like Infinity and Osaki. They are located near the corner of Woodward and Long Lake Road. So come experience luxury comfort with Dr. Eric Duncan. He's the wellness doc and the creator of the top YouTube massage chair review channel, man. Book a visit right now, massagechairhouse.com, or just scan the QR code above my head, man. Massage Chair House, your ticket to the ultimate recovery and relaxation.
Hunting season is almost here, Detroit, and your Lions are on the prowl. Make sure you're locked into Woodward Sports for all the Dan Campbell reactions, Jared Goff touchdowns, Amon-Ra first downs, Penny pancakes, Kirby picks, Gibbs big plays, and of course, Jack Fox's leg. Stay locked in on all your Lions coverage right here on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon. Braylon Edwards and Shep Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsandSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you.
Why do we fight? We fight to protect the innocent, to hold the powerful accountable, to bring the oppressors to justice. Why do we fight? We fight to secure and preserve our civil liberties, to get each and every one of our clients the justice they deserve, and to make the lives of real people just like you whole again. ThenFights.com.
So, you're a Detroit sports fan, huh? Well then, make sure you subscribe to all the Woodward sports pages on YouTube. We have Woodward Baseball, Woodward Pistons, and of course, Woodward Hockey. Get breakdowns, updates, and bonus coverage of all things Detroit. So pick your favorite sport and follow along with the best Detroit sports coverage ever made. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com. Most talked about Detroit media by other Detroit media, and we love it. It's the Woodward Sports Network.
Sundays in Detroit just got a lot smoother. They got a lot more tasty, too. Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea and Woodward Sports Network. That's where you want to be. That's what you want to drink. Real vodka, real iced tea, no bubbles, just a clean, crisp sip that won't fill you up on game day. You want it for the course. Not a bad little drink to put in the cubby there while you're driving from shot to shot. Only 100 calories, 4.5% alcohol. Perfect for tailgates, for couch gates, for parties, for golf events, and of course, watching Detroit football. This season, let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser and Woodward Sports. But please drink responsibly.
Jack's Car Wash is the best car wash in the state with over 40 locations around, and this is all around Michigan. Free vacuums, free compressed air, free mat cleaning rooms, 8 interior cleaning locations, and hand towel drying services. Now, we got a free car wash for you. All you got to do is text WSN to 888-522-1729. Again, that's 888-522-1729. WSN is what you're texting. But I'm telling you, you need to get the unlimited wash. The unlimited is $29.99 per month, and that gets you a wash any day of the week you choose. Doesn't matter. It rains a lot here in Michigan. Guess what? You can get a wash. You get a car wash. You can get a car wash, and you can still be smooth. Get your car wash at Jack's. It's what we use. It's what we love. Pull up on Jack's today.
Hey, and we back.
All right, still a couple of weeks locally from college football, but college football starts this weekend. If you look at the schedule, Iowa State ranked preseason number 22 in the country against Kansas State, number 17 in the country. They're going to play in Dublin. Do you like that idea, by the way? Do you like college games going over and playing in England and Dublin and places like that?
It does nothing for me. And I think at least in the NFL, you understand that, okay, well, maybe it's broadening the brand, or it's widening, expanding the NFL through the international ranks. I don't like that either, but I understand what that's for. College football, I don't think these young men need to be playing in Dublin and then come back. I mean, I guess they don't go to class anymore, so, there's that. But, yeah, I just don't think that, 18 and 22, you need to go play overseas and then come back and do all the things. Like,
do you think it's good for the sport?
They're getting further. No, I don't think the collegiate game, no. For what? Like, I think they're getting further and further away from the collegiate aspect in terms of college and learning, but also time management and understanding life. And here's classes, and maybe I'm just playing football as a means as the vehicle driving me to something else in a different school. So it's just a lot. I don't get it.
Yeah, I look at it like, obviously trying to grow the sport. You're reaching some, maybe some teenage kids who aspire to do that and come to an American university and play the sport.
But isn't that what the NFL does? And essentially the NFL is the one that they're looking at. The NFL is the one they're like, oh, I want to play football. So now to find the outlets because of the NFL that will lead you to college. I think
it depends on the program. I think it might be a little more challenging to go to Dublin and have Iowa, with all due respect, Iowa State and Kansas State, and people going,
Notre Dame.
I cannot wait to be a Cyclone.
Man,
I saw them in Dublin, and now I want to be a Wildcat.
I feel like Notre Dame would make more sense.
They did. They went 2 years ago.
Oh, they did.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, they did. And last year it was Florida State and Boston College, wasn't it?
Yeah,
I think
it was.
something like that.
Boston College won.
Yeah,
I remember that.
Yeah, and Florida State was highly ranked at the time, which shows you about preseason rankings. But anyway, it's happening this weekend. Michigan State will play the following weekend. So speaking of Michigan, we all know what has happened, what has transpired with your alma mater, and then now the appeal process begins, which I get why some people are a little confused at that. You'd like the amount of money that Michigan was fined, you would like that reduced. And I suppose there's really no downside. There's no downside to this because it's still going to be in the news. It'll be in the news next year because Sharon Moore's going to miss a game next year, ironically enough, in Germany against Western Michigan. So it's still going to stay in the news. What was your overall response when you found out what the NCAA handed down to Michigan?
I expected it. I mean, at the end of the day, if it was going to be something more, if we were going to forfeit championships, forfeit titles, a significant amount of games would be missed for Sharon Moore this year, next year, we would have got wind of that way before because they would have got wind of it. And that would have been something that was talked about, and so we had to figure that out. The fact that it came late, it was going to be something like this. I mean, it's $20 million. Last time I checked, we're a big business school. You know how many billionaires we got on our payroll? You know how many billionaire alums we got? At the drop of a hat, we can make a phone call.
But that's not that shouldn't be the point, though.
But you asked me, and I'm eloquating how I'm eloquating, and that's what I started with. What would you like me to say?
Well, I don't want you to say. I want you to say it. I'm just saying when people say Michigan, we got more money than anybody else, and so on and so forth. The point is that $20 million is still $20 million. It hits your athletic department because Michigan handles things differently than most other schools. Michigan does not rely on the university for their football program. It pays for itself. So $20 million is, I think, significant, and if it could be as high as $30 million. It is significant, and I do understand why Michigan would then say, you know what, let's appeal and see if we can lower it. Because look, even if it's $8 to $10 million, it's still $8 to $10 million bucks. Who's to say how much is enough?
I agree, and I just disagree with you, though. At the end of the day, Michigan got money. Michigan has money, and that $133 that they keep in kitty cash, that they keep for things of this nature, we'll go about taking care of that. And then they can have Larry Ellison, or then they can have Stephen Ross, or whoever other donors help them in that situation. As it relates to the issue, this is the NCAA, Big Ten underneath them, still find a way to get at Michigan because they hated how things played out. The whole incident with Michigan happened when the NCAA no longer had power. The NIL had taken over. They didn't like that Michigan and Jim Harbaugh thumbed their nose up at them, and they had to take it. There's nothing really they could do about it. So if they want to keep Michigan's name in the press, be smudging their name, if you will, go right ahead. Sharon Moore missing a game against Western Michigan does nothing for us. The only thing will be the postseason revenue especially because Michigan believes that this season, next year, they will be in that postseason. Them losing out on that, I think that is a deal. But suspending Connor Stallions and suspending Jim Harbaugh, this is an old-rooted issue. They're just still trying to drag Michigan, keep it in the public. At the end of the day, what really happened? Absolutely nothing.
Well, you admit something happened. I mean, they were in the wrong.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what happened that affects Michigan, like that bothers them this season or next. Yeah. Nothing.
What would you think would have been, from your point of view, the right punishment that they should serve?
I mean, this is the right punishment. Like, every year it's been something. It'd be $20 million this year. It's postseason revenue this year, next year. Next year is a game. Jim Harbaugh's missed how many games? Sharon Moore missed some games. So, they keep tacking things on over the past 3.5 years now. So there's been enough. I mean, just in 23 alone, when you announce on an airplane that Jim Harbaugh is not to coach the Penn State game, that almost cost Michigan a national championship. Yeah. So I think enough has been done. Because if you're not just going to come out and say Michigan cheated, forego the national championship trophy, you guys didn't win that. If you're not going to say that, then what are we talking about? You find us, you suspended Harbaugh, you suspended Sharon Moore, you suspended Connor Stallions, you've gotten coaches, you've gotten rid of coaches. What more would you like them to do?
But just so we're clear, I don't want people to think one thing. You're not saying that the NCAA has it out for Michigan, right? You're just saying in this situation, Michigan was penalized, and they were penalized properly.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
I just wanted that clarification. Some people will say, you're trying to tell me Michigan didn't do anything wrong? They did do something wrong.
They got penalized, so yes, they did something wrong. Yeah. Obviously, they agree with that. They got penalized. Yeah.
We had this conversation with Anson, who was emotional about from a Michigan State perspective, and I understand.
I just don't understand the Michigan State perspective.
Yeah,
you have nothing to do with this.
Yeah, they look at it as it's quote unquote unfair. Yeah. If somebody else had done this, okay, Tennessee back in the day, for crying out loud, he was looking for another program that is as dirty or unclean as Michigan.
If there was another program, you wouldn't hear about it. The reason why we're still talking about it is because it was Michigan. Because Michigan is holier than thou. Michigan and Notre Dame are like the two schools that are unscathed, or worse, excuse us. We have a blemish on our record, a big blemish now. But they were like the unscathed institutions, if you will. This has been going on. Teams have been doing this. The same stuff Michigan was doing. If Ohio State would have done it, we wouldn't be here. If Alabama would have done it, we wouldn't be here. If Georgia would have been it, we wouldn't be here. I disagree.
Yeah, I think we would be here.
No, we wouldn't.
But in fairness to those schools, they didn't have a member of a coach's staff on a sideline. Yeah. I think that is the worst look that they've had through this. It's one thing stealing signs.
Right.
Happens all the time. How many times, this is an interesting perspective, how many times in your playing career were guys changing up signals from the sidelines?
All the time.
All the time, right? Maybe different quarters, maybe at the half or whatever. But people act like, see, they knew the sign. Those signs change on a regular basis during the game. So I'm not sure exactly what you think you're accomplishing, but being on the sidelines in somebody else's hat and and having the glasses and all that other stuff, that was the one thing that I think perturbed people the most, more than anything else. Personally, if you're trying to take away a championship, I think that falls on deaf ears. I think everybody's going to recognize that championship. It's always going to be in the books. It's not like people are going to go back and say, you know what? See, there was no champion in, X amount a year because they cheated. Nobody does that. They didn't do that with Louisville basketball. They haven't done that in the past. They've tried to take it away, but in the end, people still recognize that team as the national champion.
As they should. They were national champions. I beat this horse who was dead in the face before, talking about Connor Stallions and what happened and the cheating. Did it help? Did it hurt? I don't know. I mean, no one's ever even came out fully and said, well, Jim knew this or they knew that and he did this and he did this. Well, Connor Stallions acted on his own. So getting caught up in what it is and what it was, we still beat Michigan State by 47 when they knew. We still beat Ohio State, and Hassan Haskins had 4 touchdowns rushing. So, what are we talking about? Yeah. What are we still doing here? Are you trying to punish Sharon Moore? Fine. Here's a game against Western. It's all good.
Yeah. 2 games this year. Yeah. A game next year. And then what many people want is the punishment of a program, so they would like no postseason ability this year. Yeah. I've always asked people this. If that's your opinion, that's fine. I respect it. I'd like to know how much is enough. That's all I ask. And if you say, you know what, postseason ban this year, why this year and not next? Why not 2 years? Why not 3 years? What exactly are you trying to accomplish that? You want to punish the coach, you want to punish the administration, how much is left over? There has to be some type of acceptance of blame. What is enough? It's never answered. Like the NCAA thought there was enough there to require a postseason ban, but didn't implement such a postseason ban. And I wonder why that is. Like, I think those are questions that people have that would go a long way to solving all but the debate.
But that's not up for Michigan to decide. And then that's the space where Michigan, you get confused because you want us to tell us what we're supposed to do. Like, we're supposed to tell you what's a viable option for suspension or what's a viable option for punishment. The NCAA, they sure didn't come out and say, well, Michigan did this and this is what we think. They've led you on a 3-year tirade of, well, maybe we can do this, or let us get back to you, or let us think about it, or let us meet. Though, let's put it on the Big Ten. Big Ten, you say what Michigan has to do. Big Ten said, we'll put it back on the NCAA. You tell Michigan were they wrong. What was wrong? What happened? At some point, somebody come out and say, this is what happened, this is what was wrong, this is what the penalty is. And people accept it. Like, don't look for Michigan to say, yeah, this is
and make it across the board too.
Exactly. Like,
right.
I'm so confused. Like, we're confused because it's confusing.
Yeah. Self-imposing your own penalty. People scoff their nose at that. You know, my question to them would be: if you were the athletic director, if you were in charge of that school, whatever school it may be, I don't care if it's Michigan or another school, what exactly would you impose for your own punishment? So, and then, when Anson and I had that conversation, take away the championship. You wouldn't do that.
No.
You would not do that. You would lose all credibility and support from coaches, student athletes, student body, a lot of the student body, and, more importantly, your donors. So you wouldn't do that. Please don't feed me that, because that's not true. That's not something that you would do. Now, if they said to you, you self-impose first and foremost, and then we'll adjust from there, if they're the NCAA, if you're any school, who are you self-imposing against? You're not doing it against MSU. You're not doing it against Ohio State. What are you going to do? Yeah. You're going to do it against teams that you feel like you've got an advantage over. I would do that too. Just about everybody would. Yeah. That's human nature, don't you think? It's just a battle that's going to enrage on for a long time. And I suppose when people say, well, they got a game next year, so it's going to come up again. You know what? It's going to come up again no matter what. So why not, if you're Michigan, go and appeal that, see if you can lessen the financial load, and if you can't, and you got to live with 20 to 30 million, then so be it. But if you can lessen that financial load, I'd be doing it. Why not? See what your thoughts are in the chat. And any thoughts on the college football that is right around the corner.
And I see it here in the chat, man. Some people, they're all over Ohio State right now, man. I love this.
I didn't even want to bring that angle up.
They're all over Ohio State. Because one of the things that they definitely know is no matter what you say about that national championship year, and you know that Ohio State did win one, they still couldn't beat Michigan. They still couldn't solve the strength. They still couldn't solve the plays. They still couldn't solve the fact that Michigan has them figured out. And
you're talking about last year. I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about Jim Tressel when they got in trouble, with Tattoo Gate. But it really was. I mean, that was a ridiculous penalty.
That really was. Especially in hindsight now, looking back.
Yeah.
The penalties, they don't really match at all.
Their gold jackets or their gold pants for tattoos. Is that really that big of a violation? I mean, come on. This is the issue with the NCAA. It's weak. Yeah. It's a weak committee, okay? They don't have any guts whatsoever.
Real leadership.
And as this progresses, as the NIL progresses, and eventually student athletes will end up unionizing, and eventually there will be strikes in the future, and we'll sit back and we'll be pissed off and wish it was the way when Braylon played and so on and so forth. the NCAA can be ultimately to blame because they never curtailed it. They never thought forward enough thinking to believe this is what could be done just in case. That's what good leadership does. They look at things just in case. What's going to happen down the road? They never thought of it. It's gotten out of hand and out of control, and they've got no way to curtail it now.
The situation is just all over the place. You know, NCAA had started. You can go back to NIL space. You can go back to what they knew was going to exist, and you could have protected yourself then. But you know what? You let it get here. But just speaking on the Michigan situation, there's so many unknown factors, I think, that play to the situation. You bring up the Ohio State stuff. Okay, so did they hire a private law firm? Did they do all the information? Was it related to Ryan Day? Was it his brother? Did they do this information? Did they, come up with a long expose, if you will, of documents, of proof of what Michigan was doing, and then submit this information to the NCAA? That's already conflict of interest. Greg Schiano and Rutgers. It's so many layers to pull back that you just really want it to be over. Like, so many people got involved in the NCAA because of what they were dealing with transfer portal, NIL space, not having the respect, nobody listening to them. They couldn't make that decision. They couldn't say, this is what happened, this is what the penalty is, because nobody was listening to it. You can't make that statement as an NCAA when you got institutions in your ACC, Florida State and Clemson, talking about, we don't even want to be a part of ACC. In fact, we're suing to get out of the ACC. When you got all this going on, like, your ship is so all over the place. Yeah. You can't dial into what Michigan did, what Michigan didn't do, what's the penalty for what they did, and move forward, because it's so many, as you call them, leaks. You got so many leaks in your boat.
Yeah, they are so not set up for this type of investigation. They're just not. And that's why when people say it's the Wild, Wild West, it really is. What is the level? You've talked to, I'm sure, a lot of your Michigan brethren over the years, or over the last few days, and you've known a lot of guys over the years. What is their level, not embarrassment, but what's the level of understanding of what has happened, and overall how they think it affects Michigan's image in general?
I think at the end of the day, everybody that I've talked to, everybody that I've seen kind of speak on this matter is just, annoyed that it's still going on. They understand that something took place, whether it was known or not. It's still something we have to take responsibility for. There was an advantage, if you will, that we acquired by being able to do this. It doesn't matter who knew about it. This is what was going on. And some people knew. So, we did something wrong, in that sense. And I think it's been taken care of. I think it's been discussed. I think because of what it was and because of what we know goes on a day-to-day basis in this space, and you knew it was edible, you knew it was adaptable, you knew it was changeable, it's done. What's done is done.
How often did you line up in college and opposing defenses recognize certain sets, certain situations that your team was in, and had a pretty good understanding because they were such film hogs of what was going to happen?
All the time. That's what audibles are for. All the time. They see you line up in a certain set, or they see the tendency in a stance or a split. Oh, he's got a short split. Braylon, usually when he runs a 6-yard split, he's probably going to run the corner route on the Badger play. So, that exists. And seeing something in pregame, if somebody, caught wind of something, like, hey, look, watch this when they go trips right with Jason Avant on the outside. That happens all the time. It's a part of the game. You got to learn, you got to adapt, you got to adjust on the fly. Like, it is sport is real live on the fly adjusting. And that's what happens. So that's all the time. You're telling me they had some plays? All right.
A lot of it's out of tendencies, right? You're recognizing tendencies of what another team does to try and prepare for it. And I've said this for a long time. I don't know if this is a great example, but I'd like your take on it. You and I could go to any game and take our phones and record what opposing coaches are doing.
Yeah.
And go back and study it enough with somebody with your football acumen and recognize what some of their tendencies were doing. That's why, I don't think it's a problem that you've got one guy who is studying what the other team is doing.
Yeah.
That is pretty typical. They do that in every sport. You don't think they've got baseball people? I know guys way back in the day would have somebody in center field looking at signs. Some say that, they're relaying them to the hitter, but there are certain guys who have done that, and it's a thing, all right?
Shout out AJ Hinch.
Well, no, that wasn't referring to that, but I mean that happened with his team, obviously, and he paid the price for it and, publicly and lost his job, but was able to find another one. I think a big reason why he's as loyal to Detroit as he should be. But my point is that you can go to a lot of places and you can find people who can break that down for you, right? That's why I say the Connor Stallions on the sideline was a line that was stepped over. If it's him in the stands filming, Kool-Aid and Ricky can do that for us. Bring it back, and Braylon can say, my guess is this is what they're doing. There's the tendencies right there. Watching film on a regular basis. They've got guys who do that for every program, every quality program. It's the taboo was doing it on the sidelines, especially of a rival.
Look, that's fine, but Michigan State was sorry as hell. Forgive me. I'm so tired of all of this guy on the sideline. And this is why I say you don't know what Connor Stallions is doing on his own. Like Jim McElwain, we know was on the coaching staff at University of Michigan. Then he was a head coach at Central Michigan. So therein lies that connect. He was on the sideline of the Central game scouting Michigan State. Oh my God, we have to scout this Michigan State team. It is so vital for this 2023 rivalry game because Michigan State is that good. I don't know what the hell happened with Connor Stallions, and I don't know how he got on that sideline. But it was Michigan State who they beat by 47, and we see what that program is. I just don't believe that the emphasis was, hey, Connor, we need you to do what you do, send you up here, get on this sideline, scout this Michigan State team for us so we can get all the advantages and the things. Like, just blow it out of you know what with that. So I don't know what happened in that case, and that's why I want all the information.
Yeah, and are we going to get it? That's the question. Because here's the devil's advocate.
I'm still waiting for that Epstein file.
Amen to that. I've been waiting for that for a long, long time,
Just
man.
saying.
I was told about that about 3 years ago. Listen, but here's the one thing I would say, devil's advocate. Yeah. If it wasn't that important, why was he doing it? Right? And that's where it comes back to what you were saying. Was he doing it on his own? Was he instructed to do it? If it wasn't, when people say, "Oh, cheating is not that big of a deal," well, then what do you have to do it? Well, steroids not big of a deal.
I agree.
If it wasn't helping you, why were you taking them? You know what I mean?
I agree. I've met Connor Stallions. I've talked to him a couple times. I've watched the documentary Untold, which really was nothing. It's a nothing burger. Like he strikes me as the type of individual that does things on his own. This is not me trying to dissociate Michigan. At the end of the day, I don't care. Yeah. Like, this really does not harm me in any way, shape, fashion, form. And apparently it doesn't harm the institution. Yeah. Still national champions. Yeah. Jim Harbaugh still doing his thing, so it doesn't matter.
But you think he's a rogue guy?
Exactly. Okay. I think he's a rogue guy. And I think this rogue move got him caught. And in doing so, it got the institution caught up. Like, I don't know what was what. Maybe Jim knows more. Maybe I'm giving, Connor Stallions too much credit. But he just feels like someone that does his own thing. It makes no absolute sense to be on that sideline, that Central Michigan game against Michigan State. Like, that's just a situation where I felt like everything was good. I'm cooking with grease. I'm in the stands. I got my whole play. I can record. I'm giving the information or however the information is being passed off. I'm doing this. How can I take this up a notch? How can I get some more insight? How can I do more? Because you're not getting any more insight by being on the field. This just seems like something that you want to do. I want to be on the field. How close can I get to the action? Can I get so close to the action where I'm standing next to Jim McElwain as I'm doing whatever I'm doing to help out the University of Michigan? That's where I'm at with Connor Stallions and the whole deal, because it's something about this part. Him being on the sidelines, wearing the glasses, wearing the shit. Like, that's the part where it's...
Was there ever a time that he worked for CMU? Because I see some people in the chat, they believe that there was a time that he had some association with CMU.
He's had association with everybody. Like, Connor Stallions makes it happen. Like, he was on that Belleville staff right around the time they needed Bryce Underwood. He was coaching Eastern Michigan for a minute. Like, he's Michigan for a second.
Did he make it over like Mumford or somewhere?
That's the other one, Mumford. Now he went from
Mumford. Mumford was after.
Oh, but I'm saying in terms of, then he went from Mumford to he's somewhere else now from there. So he's a guy that makes a lot happen.
I hear you.
I would be interested to get him on a what do you call those? A deposition.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Here's my from my experience, and you've got a much closer association with him than I do, but I think football coaches are some of the most anal people of all time. I mean, they are constantly knowing what is going on with their program. Okay, I find my struggle was I found it really hard to believe that Jim Harbaugh didn't know what his staff was doing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because that's the way football. They're so organized for the most part. They're so organized and so in tune with their program. It's hard to watch 100+ kids on your team. I get that. But as coaches, that's a little different. Unless he gives them the ultimate, I trust you, do what you ever think is best, but you know it's coming back to you. That's the problem.
Yeah, the one part of this whole thing where I was like, like where I had a moment is when the one coach, right after getting the word from the feds, from the coach, don't say anything to anybody, don't tell your players, don't do whatever, and then he went exactly to his players and he told them, don't say certain things, don't talk about you did this or blah blah blah. That was the one moment, and then he was fired for it. I believe it was the linebackers coach.
Yeah, Chris Partridge.
Yeah, it's Chris Partridge. That was the one situation where I said, was there more here? And I know a lot of people are trying to hang their hats on the email scam situation. That was the one where you're like, this is it. That ended up turning out to be very bad, and not in terms of stealing signs or anything related to the football field. So the Chris Partridge situation gave me pause, as if maybe that was the only thing.
Yeah, Partridge brought in, I believe, Jabril Peppers.
Yeah,
I think that's what he was responsible for.
I think Gary as well.
Rashawn Gary. Yep.
Final thought on this.
Yeah.
You and your teammates, you and your friends, does it stain anything regarding your or the school and football's legacy at all?
It does, I think. It does. Like, I held my head high whenever I would go into conversation. You can say whatever you want to about Michigan. You can say all the things, all the stuff, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, you suck. You can't beat Ohio State. Well, at least not last 4 years. But, all these things being said, like, your institution is dirty. Yours, like, this is Georgia talking to me. LSU, like, hell, I know personal stories about how you guys have cheated in Alabama. Playing in the NFL, I know all the stories. I know all the things. The things I thought in college, they actually even were more true than I thought. So being able to hang our hats on like that, look, man, we do it the right way. And it was like, that's a Notre Dame. And I keep saying that because that's kind of what it felt like. It was like all these other schools. It was a minor blip with Marcus Ray and an agent buying him a suit. Who cares?
Yeah,
like a suit, nobody's tripping. But doing it the right way, that was the Michigan way, and it felt good to be able to say that. And people hated us with arrogance because of that. You self-righteous son of a, you're damn right. Now it's a space where I'm a little less quiet. When people are talking about those things, I can still talk about the national championship. I can still talk about the money that we're spending. I can still talk about the people that we're garnering. I can still talk about what the brand is worth. But there's a little bit of mud on that.
How about the conversation you had with your dad? Because your dad was a standout player at Michigan, too.
100%.
Did you guys have that conversation much? And what was revealed, if you can reveal any of it?
It's the most touchdowns, man. The father-son duo. I'm just throwing it out there. Just in history, just throwing it out there. 60 tuds is a lot. Yeah.
Feels similar to you, perhaps. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
100%. Yeah, we'll leave it there.
Yeah,
feels very similar. That's the same thing from 77 for my father until 2020, whatever it was, 2023. He had the same thing. Had that same head held up high,
And the chat is chimed back in as well. Chuck Brewer, one of our regulars, longtime supporter of Woodward Sports from the beginning, and our side content, says, Kool-Aid, the report said that CMU's head coach invited Connor Stalions to the game to help them beat MSU, and that Michigan actually had nothing to do with that game. And that's interesting that he shares that, because that's one of the pictures that you see most popularly used.
That is the most popular
That is the
picture.
most popular
That's the one
picture.
Anson used, and and I'm not taking a shot at Anson. He can't be here to defend himself. He'll be in tomorrow for Braylon, but I mean that's the one he used. Okay, now I haven't seen that report. I'd like to see it. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one that's
he
taboo.
said that he was using recording lenses for Michigan.
Yeah, correct.
But it was facilitated, the report said, by CMU as what? Chuck Brewer from the chat and others in the chat are saying.
All right, yeah, I've got to get not that I don't believe Chuck, but I got to give some confirmation on that because I don't remember Jim McElwain admitting that. I've got to look back at that. Anything else in the chat before we hit a break and then move on to Lions?
They are saying as well. They're putting on their cape for Michigan today. They're saying that Chris Partridge was exonerated.
Yeah, exactly. I was saying that was the only thing that came out and gave me a moment, and then that did come up, so I appreciate that update in the chat. But
and Crazy Clown says Braylon's the man.
Hey, Crazy Clown, I appreciate you, man. Crazy Clown always showing love and representing, man.
If Braylon's the man, then Les Stanford is the dealer for sure. Les Stanford Buick and GMC, great offers for everybody. Get a 2025 Hummer EV SUT lease special, $599 a month plus tax. Try the same 2025 Hummer ET SUV special, $699 a month overall. Don't forget about the 2025 Sierra Double Cab Elevation. That lease special is going on right now for just $169 a month. Get to Les Stanford today. Save. Get their massive inventory. They've got something for you. Check it out. Test drive it. Good people there. Les Stanford Buick and GMC for all lease specials. Go to their website, LesStanfordGMC.com.
I was swinging the golf club pretty good today, man. The back felt good, the shoulders felt right, and so did the knees. You know why? It's because I talked to the injury insider, and that is Dr. Jeff S. Pierce. 248-426-9944. That is the number where you can scan the QR code above my head. Michigan Sports and Spine. Works with the heavies. He works with us, but look, he is the guy for you. Whatever little pain, whatever little things, little uncomfortableness that you're having in your body, come on down to his office and let him diagnose you. You're talking about the guy that helped the Red Wings win 4 Stanley Cups. D-Mac. He uses them. He loves them. So do I. Why don't you get with Dr. Jeff Pierce today? Scan that QR code.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men. It's wicked awesome.
Ever wonder what goes on inside the game?
Deep ball's got a man and got him. Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Join Braylon Edwards and Shep.
Edwards has it. 10, 5, touchdown.
On the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Bar looks in zone. Got Edwards for the touchdown.
Where they dive deep into the heart of sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m., they're bringing you expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and a fresh perspective on the sports you love. Don't miss it, only on the Woodward Sports Network.
Now, if I told you you made a bet on Caesars Sportsbook app for $1,000, and if that first bet didn't win, you'll get your money back. It's like when you didn't make the bet altogether. You probably think I was crazy. No. Scan the QR code, or you can enter the code Woodward1000. If your first bet from $20 to $1,000 doesn't hit, you'll get it deposited right back into your bank account, man. So make sure you download that Caesars Sportsbook app right now. It is the official sportsbook of Woodward Sports. Use the QR code or use the code Woodward1000, and you can get your first bet back if you don't win. I hope it wins. But just in case it doesn't, you get your deposit back, man. Caesars Sportsbook app, download that right now.
Hey, Ricky, what you think about BlackRock, man?
Never been there.
Never been there. Hey,
Be honest.
You know what, Brian? Tell us about Black Rock, man.
Black Rock, 8 weeks of giveaway. It rolls into week 6. Now, I told you about we got the big green egg. Oh, it's gone already. See, you guys been playing around, man. But somebody did capitalize, and that was Alexis Vitta. Shout out to you. Congratulations. Hey. But the summer does roll on for you guys that didn't win. Scan this QR code above my head, and it allows you a chance to win a Ninja Slushie machine. That sounds all right. Sounds all right. Get you ready for the fall football season, man. Get you some slushies at your tailgate. It will make you the popular tailgater. Scan that QR code above my head, and then this does get you into the ultimate prize, which is 4 tickets to the home football opener for the Big Ten. It is September 14th. Entries close August 24th. So you gotta make haste, as they used to say back in Shep's day. Ready, set, sizzle. Sorry, take a shot.
That's all right. I mean, you're right.
That wasn't very nice.
It's make hay. That's what it is.
Post haste. That was a very bad.
Try to make hay when the sun when the sun is shining.
Right.
That's what they used to say. It's a little bit before my time, but you're not that far off. Have you noticed how many remote controls do you have at your house?
Too many.
Wait, we've got 4 sitting here.
3, 4.
Right?
Just in my area, like it's too many to count.
Yeah,
it's like 3 remotes per TV.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
1, per TV.
So
3,
the
4,
show before us
5, 6,
they must
7,
love the Weather
8,
Channel. You know,
9,
I don't need that. I want sports. It's not like you're
13.
Watch. You're not going to watch Law and Order, but you'd like sports, something in sports. We are a sports show. Anyway, none of them work. None of them work on this thing. I got to keep watching the Neil Rule desired Weather Channel for some reason.
It keeps his mind sharp. You know, he doesn't like to take the takes of other things.
I suppose so. All right. Lions played over the weekend. We know that against Miami.
Talk Lions.
Hey. What was your takeaway from what you witnessed at Ford Field?
So Allen is definitely the backup quarterback.
Yeah.
Every time he goes out there, he has success. He understands the system, and he takes what's available to him. So I would be comfortable with just in this point with him being the backup quarterback. I think your guy, our guy, Isaac Teslaa had another good showing. I think Meeks had a pretty good game as well. It looks cleaner, the type of football, even though it's the 3s and 4s and 5s, and a lot of guys won't make the team. The football, the brand of football, looked cleaner. It wasn't much to take away. I tell you what, though, secondary has been getting cooked all preseason, and I understand this isn't the starters, but some of these guys will be guys that if something happens, they could be a 5th.
You know what?
They could be a 6th. They could be a 7th DB. You're going to go into the season probably with about 9 to 11 DBs. I don't see anything out of guys that are not starting. Like
I got to be honest with you. I can't figure it out.
Yeah.
I'm watching these games and I'm thinking there's nothing moving me whatsoever. I mean, think about it. The dominating conversation has been the backup flipping quarterback.
Yeah.
And I feel sometimes dirty, filthy for talking about it so often.
Yuck.
Because I get that it will be important at some point if Jared Goff goes down, and Jared Goff was pretty clean last year, thankfully because of that offensive line.
Yeah.
I suppose some people would argue you're going to care about it when it does matter, and they would be right there. I don't care about it that much. Hendon Hooker's regression, I think, is as big, if not bigger, a story than Kyle Allen's ascension, if that makes sense, because of the investment made in Hendon Hooker. Based on what we've seen so far, it's really not close. This is not trailblazing thoughts here. I'm sure a lot of people at home feel the same way. But I can ask this question. Would you keep Hendon Hooker as a 3rd quarterback, or would you hope that he passes through waivers and bring him back on the practice squad? Or look outside.
Yeah.
I
hate that we're making this much about the backup quarterback, but it lets you know how much there's been to talk about in Detroit Lions for the preseason. I just don't know. Like, I think you know what he is. Like, I don't think is Brunell still the quarterback's coach?
Correct. Yeah.
Mark so you can't talk about Ben Johnson left and the offensive passing game guy left. He's now in Jets as the offensive coordinator. So those guys left. So he isn't getting the same teaching. Your quarterback's coach is still here.
Right.
Like the guy that's giving you the information on a day-to-day basis, Mark Brunell, who you're talking with, you're sharing concepts, you're watching film, you're trying to understand what you see in the secondary, what you see in a certain play, and where the ball should go, and what that guy's still here, and it's not getting any better for Hendon Hooker. Now, I feel bad, I feel judgmental, so maybe keep him as a 3 and see what happens, because I don't think you're really worried about a third-string quarterback, so maybe you keep him. I don't think there's any value for him. You're just thinking in terms of cutting him for a roster spot.
Right. I mean, do you keep 3 quarterbacks?
There's been absolutely nothing that he has shown that I can take. And I hate saying this about a young player in this league, especially a player that, maybe hasn't gotten that opportunity.
Sure.
But I have to be honest. There's been nothing. There's been not the way he spins the ball, not the way he is, in control and in the huddle, or his cadence, or his tempo, or his confidence, or his arm strength, or there's nothing to point through. And then you go into the game in which all eyes were on Hendon Hooker after the first 2 games, especially the second game. All eyes were locked in on Hendon Hooker. We know that you got to do something. What are you going to do? Well, I'm going to throw the ball right to a defender that jumps up for him. Here's another interception.
Wow.
Damn. Another one?
Bird dog's a lot. Dog's a lot.
It was tough. So if they keep him past that, this is Brad Holmes falling in love with a player and wanting to give him extra time, want to give him the chance to prove himself and make this team, which, hey, I applaud, but don't make this a common practice. Because if you fall in love with every guy because you drafted him, that can lead you to some bad paths. So I haven't seen anything that warrants me to keep Hendon Hooker, and that's where I'm at.
I would remind people this. Not that age is the be-all, end-all. Hendon Hooker is 27 years old.
He looked 40.
Yeah. I mean,
look at him, man. He looks worn out, man.
He look old.
It's crazy. It is. It's absolutely crazy.
Like
He's 27 and he doesn't play. I mean, how much longer do you give a guy based on what you've seen and knowing that even if you keep him as the backup or the third string for this year, next year he's going to be 28 years old. When does the marinating of a player finally stop? At some point, you got to put the meat on the grill.
Yeah.
Right? And it just doesn't seem like it works for him. So you bring up Isaac Teslaa. It's something you and I have talked about a lot so far. And I admitted last week that there's a part of me that says, gosh, I'm almost tired of it. But he's thrust himself into the situation to force us to talk about, and that's a good thing. His body control, his hand strength, his ability to fend off defenders he's impressing me more and more every single week, especially when I'm trying harder and harder each week to figure out what his weakness is.
Yeah, no, I hate coming up here every week and, talking about him and at nauseum, but also I don't, because he's giving you reason to. Like, he's giving you reason to. Like, Tim Patrick is going to be in a dogfight. Like, I legitimately was ready to come up here before the preseason game and say, look, I understand how good Isaac Teslaa is playing, but look, Tim Patrick is your third wide receiver. It will take him some time to crack the roster in that space. They feel more comfortable with him and then put him out there. But when you see what you're seeing in terms of him going up for the ball, in terms of him making a play, every time you give him an opportunity, he's doing something with it. Yeah. And then also when you're not giving him opportunities, he's blocking. He's engaging in the run game. He's finding ways to add value to this Detroit Lions team. Adding value in life is the number one thing you can do in any situation. Every time we bring his name up, he's finding a way to add value. That is going to get you to play into a spot where, like, Tim, I love you, but you got to make some plays, because he is going to be breathing down the neck of any wide receiver not named J-Mo or Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I love it. Keep it going. He's also a different receiver. Like, he's also the athletic – I hate using the word freak, but he's also the athletic freak, if you will. He's 6'4", he's 218. He has control over his body. He has the athletic upside. He has the vert. He has the speed. You saw the routes we broke down last week. So he's got some skill. But once again, it's one thing doing this in the preseason on 3s and 4s and 5s and guys that won't be on the roster. They won't be starting. Mm-hmm. it's another thing to do it when your name is called and, that DB is Jalen Ramsey, or that DB is insert the nickelback for the Green Bay Packers, insert the number 2 DB for the Minnesota Vikings. So looks good. I like it. It's consistent. It's a touchdown a week. It's something to build on. He's getting close.
Yeah, Tim Patrick's got to get on the field first and foremost.
Yeah.
Second of all, I was just going to ask you, how much do you assess a player in the preseason knowing they're going up against to try and be in a starter? Okay, we're not talking about a 1 or a 2, but I think there is a good debate on why he could be the 3 because of what he adds to the offense. A little different look, maybe a little bit more of a red zone threat than Tim Patrick has been with this team. But I do wonder how much you assess that, knowing that he's going up against guys who, in all likelihood, they're not starting. They may make their team. Yeah. These guys may make the Dolphins, but they're not necessarily going to be starting. So how do you kind of come to grips with that?
He won't be going against the 1s and 2s. I know I threw Jalen's name out there. I was more so to give you some name recognition so you can understand the valleys that he'll potentially be into. But he's going against the number 3.
Yeah.
Like the guys he'll be going against are the Amik Robinsons of the world. And we know Amik did his thing against Justin Jefferson. They've known each other since high school and all that. But do you want to see Amik go against this guy for a whole game? Like, do you want to see, if you're a secondaries coach or you're a defensive coordinator, this is a matchup that you do not want. And if you're Johnny Moe, this is a matchup that you want. So I think you got to look at it that way. What DBs are he going against? Safeties last time I checked. Number 3, nickelback defense, DBs, if you will. Sometimes he'll get a Brian Branch situation. Mm-hmm. We rave about Brian Branch being able to cover as a safety. Yep. I would love to see a safety try to cover Isaac Teslaa. And that's what you'll have from time to time in game planning, just due to personnel. So him going against 3s, like you said, he's not fighting J-Mo or Amon-Ra St. Brown. He's fighting to be in that slot spot or that 3rd wide receiver position spot. Well, he's going to have a lot of favorable matchups.
It's amazing. We've been talking about 2 third-round picks, one in a negative light because of their inability to perform in the preseason and in practices for the most part, and that's Hendon Hooker. One in Isaac Teslaa, who they moved up and seems to have been better than anybody would have thought. And they're both taken in the same round. It just goes to show you that the NFL and how you're breaking down film. And look, if you looked at a resume, of Hendon Hooker, you'd say, yeah, give me some of that. NFL's a completely different animal, man. Completely different.
It is. Yeah, you got to show up and show out. The NFL is not for long, and when you're not operating at a high level, when you're not operating to make people pay attention, that not for long, it becomes a lot faster. And so that's what Hendon Hooker, that's what he's got to do. He's got to find a way to tap into whatever had him get to Tennessee, have the season that he was having, get on the radar of Brad Holmes before he tore his ACL, whatever got him to that point. And it was Josh Heupel, coach down there at Tennessee, who's a wizard on the offensive side of the ball. He's got to figure, maybe he's got to call Coach Heupel. Like, sometimes you need a reminder. You get in these spaces and you play bad, and now it's a snowball effect. Sometimes the people that can get you out of that are people that you had success with. He might need to make that phone call.
You think he's pressing?
Yeah, I know he's pressing, because now he's behind the 8 ball. So now every pass has to be a perfect pass. And usually when you try to throw a dot every time, now you're trying to push the ball. Now you're trying to guide the ball. Now you're telegraphing. Now you're throwing interceptions. Like, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Because you want everything to be perfect. You're trying to make the play so that the fans get off your neck. You're trying to make the play so the coaches say, that's why we're keeping him. That's why we draft him third. He's trying to make that play, and it just don't happen like that.
So the opposite of him, obviously, is Kyle Allen. And Allen was really good. 14 to 17. Thought he looked crisp. Seemed like, and we don't know the reads and all the things that are expected of quarterbacks because it's so much more detailed than we thought. But 14 to 17, 124 yards, a couple of touchdowns, took a sack, but overall, I thought he performed really well. He seems to be getting better with each passing week. Are you sold that he's a number 2, or would you go outside the family, quote unquote, the Lions family, and see if there's somebody else who you might trust a little bit more?
I'm all for going outside the family because I believe you're a really, 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 really good team. And if something happened to Jared Goff for a game I don't want the excuse for why the season went down to you know what is because, Goff was out. Like, I think you got to get a guy that puts you in position. I talk about Chad all the time, not because he was my quarterback at Michigan, but I go back to the instance. He did it twice for the Kansas City Chiefs. If Chad Henne doesn't step up in those moments, they're 2 Super Bowls shy, or at least 1 for sure. You got to have a guy that you can trust to go out there and give you 2 series if your quarterback goes down, or give you a quarter, or give you a half, or give you a game. You got to have a guy that you trust. And Allen's playing well in the preseason, but let's be honest. Are you trusting Allen against the Baltimore Ravens if something happens to Jared Goff? Shout out to Jared Allen making Pro Football Hall of Fame this year, but Jared Goff is the guy I was talking about. What do you do in the second half?
Yeah, is that the eye test from Braylon Edwards, or is that the resume? He's got 19 starts. He's played in 31 NFL games.
Yeah.
He's got 19 starts. Not like he's thrown a ton of passes. His touchdown to interception, 26 touchdowns, 21 picks, and he's been around. You look at a guy who's been in Washington and Carolina and Buffalo and Pittsburgh, not necessarily in that order. I forget exactly the order, but it tells you that, he hasn't been able to settle in at one spot. But on the other hand, it also tells you that others have found his value. So is it your eye test, or is it just the fact that his resume is not what you think this team needs at this point, considering how close they are to winning the championship?
I'll be fair and say it's the second part. It's not the eye test. It's more the resume and where he is. Because looking at it, taking a step back, the Lions are a run-based team. Mm-hmm. They have the best backfield in the NFL if you're talking about two-headeds. Dave Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs. We still have what we believe to be a really good offensive line, maybe even better once we get some chemistry and get some experience this season. So he doesn't have to do a ton. He's handing the ball off to Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery, or he can use the play action to get Sam Laporta, Zylstra, Brock Wright involved. And, oh, by the way, he's got one of the top 5 wide receivers in the league, and he's got one of the fastest players in the league. So he has a lot at his disposal to not necessarily have to do much. And if that's the thing, then fine. If you want him just to do that, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, a friend of mine and I were having this debate on Saturday. We played some golf, and he said, I just don't know why the Lions you keep Kyle Allen, and you just simplify the offense if Jared Goff goes down. Yeah. You hand it off, you pass out here, and so on and so forth. And I said, do you really think it's that easy? It's not that easy. The other team, you don't think the other team, as soon as Kyle Allen comes in, is basically going to say, there's no way Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery are going to beat us. We're going to make everything on him. If he earns it, he earns it. But we're not making it easy for him. He's going to have to throw the ball to be successful.
And that's why I want that quarterback that really can do it for you. Because if you're talking about a game, if you're talking about a half, fine. Even if you're talking about 2 games, yes. Because they don't have film, because you have a lot of options and they have to prepare for a lot over a 1-game period, over a 2-game period, you can shock some people. But if you're talking more than that, now they get film on you. Why do you think Josh Dobbs, who always comes in, and when they bring him in as a backup quarterback, literally in the season, even if he's played a game the week before, he usually comes in either wins a game or plays really good, because they don't have that film. And so it's just somebody out there that they don't have film on, that they don't know how he's going to fit that system. Yeah. But once you get film on Dobbs, once he has 2 games, 3 games, then what happens? He goes from this miraculous quarterback that's a genius that helps NASA and teaches at MIT to, I see why he's on 4 teams in the year.
Yeah, right.
That's what happens.
Nick Mullins is another example.
100%. He can throw for 400 yards against the Detroit Lions and almost win, but that very next game, you'll see 3 interceptions, you'll see 111 yards, and you realize why he's fighting for a 2-3 spot every year.
Matt Flynn parlayed that into a pretty nice little contract in Seattle when he left Green Bay.
Funny story about that. That was 2011. He didn't get the contract 2012. I was on that Seattle team. Pete Carroll never wanted Matt Flynn to play, and he never did. He never gave him opportunities. He never, let me not say gave him opportunities. He took some first-team reps. Mm-hmm. Russell was taking first-team reps from the start of camp, midway through camp. The first game, Russell started. Second game, Russell started. So we knew what that was going to be from jump.
Could you tell as a player right away?
Because I was an older player at that point. Yeah. By that point, I'm 8-9 years in. I'm watching from the adult experience phase. I wasn't watching from a second, third year. Second, third year, I would have been like, man, what's going on? This is crazy. But sitting back, I was like, they don't want to pay that man that money. They don't want to pay him. They can cut him. They will be able to get off the hook for a lot of that cash. And oh, by the way, Russell's a 3rd-round quarterback.
Yeah, right.
Who you're not going to have to pay very much of anything. So I saw it. Pete Carroll, I saw it.
Yeah. That's where the hope was for Lions fan. Russell Wilson was a third round pick. Right? Yeah. That's the example you use. Oftentimes we use examples of really successful players in certain rounds. You know, the Tigers got Tarek Skubal in the 9th round. Who says they can't do it again? You know, Amon-Ra St. Brown was a 4th round pick. Who says they can't do it again? A lot of
gambling.
times, a lot of those times, there's a reason, right? I mean, there are the diamond in the proverbial rough.
I mean, what do you mean? Isaac Teslaa is about to be a star. 3rd round pick.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd go so far as a star, but he's going to be a player. He's going to be a starter. I think he's going to be a starter.
But you also have to watch that. And the thing I say about that, I never was sold on Hendon Hooker from this sense.
Yeah.
I wasn't sold on him before he got to Tennessee. Now you take him, you put him in Tennessee with Josh Heupel, who's an offensive dynamo, and he had some success. Russell Wilson won the ACC and won the Big Ten.
Right.
So whatever you want to say about Russell and what happened later on in his life, later on in his career, he got a little slower, can't get out of the pocket, can't see over the offensive line of scrimmage. When he was in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 7, you saw it because you saw what he did in the ACC. Mm-hmm. You saw what he did in the Big Ten at Wisconsin. Like, you knew what he was capable of. So, like, it's a different thing. I don't know what Hendon Hooker is capable of. You know, you give him the right quarterback and a shotgun offense, and in NCAA he had some success. I don't know if that translates to the NFL.
Braylon, that's the big knock right now and the question mark regarding Sam Darnold. You know, who made Sam Darnold? Was it Kevin O'Connell or was it Sam Darnold himself? And most people feel like it's the coach. He may be exposed in Seattle. It's amazing how different situations can be. Did anyone think Geno Smith was going to be worth anything while he was in the Jets? Hell no.
No.
Suddenly he goes to Seattle. Yeah. He's pretty damn good. Yeah. Okay? I'm not saying I'd want him. I'm not saying he's a Hall of Fame player. I'm just telling you, he could lead your team.
I agree. You know what happens with Geno Smith? You talk about a guy at one point. Same kind of story. Like, first 7 games at West Virginia year, he was leading and running for the Heisman. Like, after the 72 to 40 game against Baylor, like, he's leading up for the Heisman. But what does he do? He comes to the league, doesn't have success. He then sits behind Eli Manning. He sits behind Phillip Rivers. He sits behind Russell Wilson. He's sitting behind 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And, oh, by the way, he still could play the game a little bit. It's about getting to the right system. The Jets were a horrible system. They're getting it on the right track. Let me stop there. But they were a horrible system when Geno was there. Then you go play behind 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Then you're able to kind of process what I was doing when I was younger, how I can see it now, take what they give me. You add veteranism in, and now you're a much different quarterback. That's the process, though. Like, Geno Smith went through a good process, was able to sit in some really good quarterback rooms. He was able to pick the brains of some really good quarterbacks, whatever you feel about him, the Hall of Famers. So
I forgot he was with the Giants. I really did. Completely forgot about that.
Yeah.
I thought it was Jets, and then I thought it was Seattle. And there were stops in between. The Giants and the Chargers, to your point.
100%.
Excellent point. Great memory. And really impressive opportunity for Geno Smith to turn his career around. And now, not that he would be a top 10 guy. We've talked about that in the past. But if you said, Geno Smith's going to be your starter for a few games, you could do a lot worse.
Half a season, I might. They wrote me off
last year.
One of the coldest quotes post-game interviews ever. They wrote me off, but I ain't right back. Geno Smith.
I like that. Last 3 years, for what it's worth, he's been a winning quarterback. For what it's worth. I know. A lot of people will be like, that doesn't mean anything to me. He's got to get in the playoffs, and he's got to perform in the playoffs and all that stuff. That's fine. I don't disagree with you. I'm talking about as a guy who is your more like your third-tier QB, it's more about him able to turn his career around based on a situation. Sometimes you get in a bad situation, it's tough to climb out of it. He actually did. Here's a really good situation. If you're sitting down, a bib on or not, whatever drink you might be having, Buddy's Pizza's in front of you. You are all over that. Try their new barbecue brisket pizza, barbecue chicken salad, the refreshing Buddy Brew Summer Shandy, and the Super Summer Sundae. I almost brought you guys some cake that my sister made the other day.
Almost.
Milky Way cake.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Off the chain. But this summer Sunday at Buddy's makes me think of that because it too is off the chain. All your neighborhood Buddy's or at buddyspizza.com. Don't forget, Buddy's is more than just pizza too. Yes, they've got really good pies, but it's really good burgers too. Smash stacks are there done Detroit style. So you got the square slice, you got the smash stack, you got full flavor, you've got good sundaes, and it's only at Buddy's Pizza, buddyspizza.com.
It's time to get in shape, it's time to feel good, but it's time to do it at a place that doesn't judge you. Welcome to Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential. Now, till August 31st, let's talk about the high school summer pass. 14 and 19, all you guys, you know the plan, you know the routine. You guys work out for free, your girls work out for free. However you want to identify, you work out for free. No judgment, trainers on staff. We want to get you right, man. Mental health, physical health, just as important. We mix them together, no judgment. Come on down. And then if you aren't 14 and 19, Planet Fitness is where you get it in. It's where you feel good about yourself. It's where you get your day started. It's where you end your day. Or it's where you get a little lunchtime snack on these weights. Planet Fitness, where your fitness is essential.
Hunting season is almost here, Detroit, and your Lions are on the prowl. Make sure you're locked into Woodward Sports for all the Dan Campbell reactions, Jared Goff touchdowns, Amon-Ra first downs, Penny pancakes, Kirby picks, Gibbs big plays, and of course, Jack Fox's leg. Stay locked in on all your Lions coverage right here on Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. So, you're a Detroit sports fan, huh? Well then, make sure you subscribe to all the Woodward sports pages on YouTube. We have Woodward Baseball, Woodward Pistons, and of course, Woodward Hockey. Get breakdowns, updates, and bonus coverage of all things Detroit. So pick your favorite sport and follow along with the best Detroit sports coverage ever made. From Detroit's #1 sports network, Woodward Sports. You smell that? That's Brad Holmes cooking. And the off-season smells good. Woodward Sports.
Why do we fight? We fight to protect the innocent, to hold the powerful accountable, to bring the oppressors to justice. Why do we fight? We fight to secure and preserve our civil liberties, to get each and every one of our clients the justice they deserve, and to make the lives of real people just like you whole again. ThenFights.com.
How do people feel about getting a Planet Fitness membership for $15 a month? How do they like working out in a clean and spacious gym that's filled with equipment for every workout? And how about free fitness training in the judgment-free zone that leaves them feeling energized all day long? Join Planet Fitness today with the free PF app, online or in club, and start getting that big fitness energy for $15 a month.
Big injuries, big news. Twice a week, Dr. Jeff Pierce from Michigan Sports and Spine joins Woodward Sports Network for the Injury Insider Report. Big D Energy Tuesdays at noon. Braylon Edwards and Shep Thursdays at 3:30. Get expert analysis and in-depth breakdowns on the latest sports injuries from the man trusted by top athletes in the community, like D-Mac. Whether it's the Lions, Pistons, Tigers, or Red Wings, Dr. Pierce talks us through it all. Don't miss the Injury Insider Report with Dr. Jeff Pierce, your go-to source for understanding the impact of injuries on the games and players we love. Only on Woodward Sports Network. Scan the QR code on the screen or go to MichiganSportsAndSpine.com to see if Dr. Jeff Pierce can help you. Ever wonder what goes on inside the game?
Deep ball's got a man and got him. Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Join Braylon Edwards and Shep.
Edwards has it. 10, 5, touchdown.
On the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Barr looks in zone. Got Edwards for the touchdown.
Where they dive deep into the heart of sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m., they're bringing you expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and a fresh perspective on the sports you love. Don't miss it, only on the Woodward Sports Network.
Here's what it's all about. You want to look good, especially for the weekend. If you have the opportunity, you could have gotten your hair cut. Doesn't matter what day it is. It's Monday through Sunday. There at Lady Jane's. Open 7 days a week, 10 till 8. You can walk in anytime. It is wicked awesome. All you do is you walk in, you sign in, and before you know it, you are handsome, you are clean, and you are out the door. My neighbor and I were having dinner a week ago. He asked me, where do you and Braylon do your show from? And I told him, and he says, you're kidding me. That's where I get my hair cut. I said, you look really good. I'm very confident that his wife wasn't offended and didn't give me a cross-eyed look. He looked really good. He gets a cut right here by the same young lady, has a great conversation in her chair. It's quick, it's uncomplicated, and it is wicked awesome. Lady Jane's.
You guys already know this is the Get Fresh, Get Right ad read segment. So once you get the cut, you guys already know you also got to have the drip. Where can you get that? Shop.woodwardsports.com or go to woodwardsports.com and make sure you click shop. So are you tired of wearing the same old Detroit sports merch? It's a new era in sports wearables. We always got new designs, amazing apparel, and the ultimate swag. Lions season, regular season is just around the corner. So you guys want to make sure that you get right. All right? Hoodies, tees, and hats that are guaranteed to turn heads. And all this, again, woodwardsports.com. Make sure you guys click shop to get the latest gear. So, chat family, as soon as you guys are going to smash that like button because we are back with Bray and Shep.
All right, glad you're with us on this Monday on the Braylon Edwards Show, Monday through Friday, 2 till 4 on Woodward Sports.
We can't keep a D-tackle healthy. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, can you give us that breaking news Kool-Aid real quick?
Yeah, man. You know, I know we didn't really get to see it, but Hassanin.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. It's let me see here. There it is. From the Detroit Lions, Detroit Free Press as well. He's out indefinitely and could miss the 2025 season due to a pectoral injury. So,
man.
You know what? People keep talking about it. That injury bug, we don't want to see it pop up. And I know that it's percolating just a little bit. We haven't gotten decimated. But my goodness, Braylon, I think you said it best, man. You can't even afford another injury to your edges, even if it's one of your rookies. This was a guy that we thought might have opportunity to play at least some depth, man. So it's not the news you want.
Well, it's 6 on the PUP list going into the preseason game, and now if this happens, yes, it's a depth. I wasn't counting on him. I was with a couple of my buddies on Saturday playing golf, and they said, hey, who's the one player is key to the Lions? I'm like, no, that's a really hard question. You know, in football, it's really hard, okay?
A starter?
Yeah, they said Marcus Davenport. I said, I'm not relying on Marcus Davenport.
I can't rely on somebody I've never seen.
Exactly.
And there's no disrespect to him.
It's no disrespect.
I just can't rely on him. I haven't seen him.
And that's the way I feel about Hassanin, who I want to succeed, love the motor, love everything. I'm not looking at it like, hey, our 6th-round pick is going to be our savior. No. It's not that I'm not going to miss him.
Yeah. Special
teams guy, right, and probably a depth guy. He's not making this massive impact. But when you lose guys who are, suddenly it's Aleem McNeil, they start to add up, right?
Yeah.
That's a concern.
It starts to add up too when you start to cover from both sides, though, Kool-Aid. Like, on the starter side of the ball, like, Aleem McNeil is still not out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be out. You got 2 guys, start on the left, start on the right. They're just coming back. And now you got guys going out. Hassanin is the latest injury on that defensive line. You don't want to lose any players on that defensive line. I don't care if they're edge or if they're interior. Right. You just don't. We saw that last year, and we saw what it did for us, and we tried to overcome in spite of. And you saw in the Commanders game, you just can't. So it may not be nothing until you get to November, until you get to December, until you look up and you're looking at a Pat O'Connor to help you out. You know, and that's what we were excited about, him working with Aiden. We weren't excited because in game 1 he was going to have 2 sacks. We were excited because over a season, overworking with Hutch, overseeing and over getting a couple reps, he may be a serviceable option when you get to late November through January. Now that seems to go on by the wayside.
Yeah, he could be an important piece. I mean, because he can play outside and inside defensive line. You just don't want him starting every down.
No.
And you don't want him as a starter. You don't mind him as a backup guy. Look, you were right about all this. 2 weeks ago, you and I had, are the starters going to play? I said, I think they're going to start and play at least a couple of series. And you said they're not going to. I'm glad they're not.
Yeah.
This is the things. It's such a hard sport. It's such a collision sport. Again, I can get on my soapbox and say this is why I don't think there should be 18 games. That's why there shouldn't be 17, and there shouldn't be 4 preseason games. But when you see a team get hit like this, with their depth. Look, Malcolm Rodriguez, okay. I mean, I know it was in the offseason. Still, I mean, it's a depth guy. This sport takes its toll on their bodies so much. And I get that we want satisfaction. We want to see our teams. We want to see this all the time, every single weekend. Your body just can't handle it.
You talking about the same Malcolm Rodriguez that had an interception in the playoffs when it mattered? You talking about that guy?
Yeah.
Like, see, it sounds early on in the season like, it's just until you realize that those players are important. As it relates to the preseason, I think we're forgetting how scared and shook. Let me start back. We're forgetting about how many injuries we had last year.
Yeah.
And if you're a head coach and you can directly point to, now this is me giving Dan the credit, so for whatever, you can point to all those defensive players being injured as to why the season kind of got derailed in the last part of it against the Commanders and maybe even moving forward. Maybe you get it. Like, because for all we talk about, we want to see Amon-Ra St. Brown, or we want to see Jared Goff for a series, or we want to see Jahmyr Gibbs, or let Jack Campbell get out there, get used to hitting some guys and get it going. If Amon-Ra St. Brown would have been the one injured and not Hassanin, it would be a very different outcry from the fans. There would be a very different calling of Dan Campbell's hit and what was he doing and why would you play him? He doesn't need this. He's an all-pro guy. You know he knows the game. He has the relationship. That's what he's also battling. So for all of us that want him to go out there and play the guys so they can get in rhythm and so they're used to hitting, you go out there and get one of your main guys injured in a preseason that no longer looks like the old preseason anyway, that's weird, that no one plays, and if they do, now it's confusing. It's like, why are you playing your starters against the fours and someone gets hurt? Now you're a negligent coach. Now you put your players in a bad situation. So Dan's getting ahead of it.
Do you think they'd be playing if they didn't have 2 dual practices against Miami and then this week against Houston? Do you think they would? Okay. That's taking the place of the starters playing preseason.
100%, because you're doing the things in practice that you would essentially be doing in games. Now, they're not going full tackle, and that you can't get a beat on because tackle is different. Thud, and for as much as thud, you hit and you get the pop, it's different when you go into the ground. So you can't get that, but you get in the work in. It's against the ones. You're imitating as close as you can without going to the ground. That's enough, and that's what Dan Campbell is thinking. You know, if the most that comes of it is struggling in the opener and winning in overtime like they did last year, at this point, it's where we are. Just like I tell you with college football, we just got to accept it, and I think that's what it is.
Can I just go back 2 weeks and remind everybody, in case you missed it, the man whose name is on the show, Braylon Edwards, made this prediction. Zadarius Smith will be a Lion in the final week of the preseason.
Listen,
this accelerates things, perhaps, but don't tell me that thought isn't crossing more than one person's mind in the Lions front office. It already was. But now, if this is as scary as it makes it out to be, and I don't want to push the panic button yet, I think that accelerates things a little bit for Zadarius Smith. Could I be wrong there?
Yesterday's price ain't today's price. These ain't for effect. Yesterday you didn't necessarily need him. Or when you go back to April and you felt confident with the moves that you're going to make and who you drafted and who was working out in camp and who looked different and who was healthy from last year, you know what? We got a little bit of a whatever this thing was that happened with Zadarius and Dan Campbell that led to where we are. All right, cool. You got that going on. Now you're down 3 defensive linemen since training camp. 1 before and 2 during. Now you're down 3. Now you're looking at it. Well, you start looking at all the positives. You start looking at the money you have. Well, I mean, we have the money. You know, he is a good player for us.
He does have familiarity.
He does fit the locker room. I mean, you saw Cash Dow. She unscrubbed her social because Cash Dow had talked about they had broken up and, you know, wrote this long soliloquy. But 2 days ago, she erased the post about them being broken up, and all I heard was, I love my man, my man, my man. So her and Zadarius seem to be like this. You know what's next.
What a resilient player that Zadarius Smith, man. And you know what? Big Z was taking over the chat as you guys were talking about this. First, people are heard about the Hassanin news because there is a lot of hype and a lot of hope. But instantly, Aaron to the stone. Sign Z now. And this is where I'm seeing all throughout the chat is just, they should have been signed Z. They got to sign Z. Let me see.
Well, I don't
here.
know if they should have. I mean, Braylon educated us
time.
this on 2 weeks ago. He said, look, he doesn't need it. Who would know better than Braylon Edwards? He doesn't need it. I said the same thing as they're saying in the chat. I want to sign him. I thought it was going to be last week. If these guys know this better than anybody, they know exactly what they need. When you've been in the league 13 years, you know exactly what you need to ramp up. Okay?
Yeah.
Football shape, you've reminded us,
Yeah,
football
100%.
shape is completely different. So you may look like in great shape right now, but if you got on the football field, it'd be different kind of shape. How long does Zadarius Smith need? How much would this benefit him the rest of this week and next week as you lead up against Green Bay?
It's going to take him a strong 3 weeks to get in football shape in terms of being out there playing. But the good thing about it, and I reminded you, I appreciate you bringing it up. You're too kind, by the way. I brought up the Bruce Irvin situation.
Yes.
Bruce Irvin came in off the streets and had a sack in the game, and I want to say he didn't play the season before, and then 2 seasons before that he didn't play, and he had a sack. So you're not asking Zadarius to go in there and be Aiden Hutchinson for 68 snaps a game. You're not asking him to be Davenport and play 44 snaps a game. You're asking him.
I wish.
Hey, but you see, I dropped the bar a little lower. You're asking him to come in maybe 13 snaps. Like he's at a 13 snap count right now, even if he was in camp. So I think he'd be fine, realistically.
It's a 1-year deal, man.
Yeah.
It's going to be a 1-year deal. The devil's advocate would say, how come no one else has signed him? If he's that good and that important, why hasn't anybody else signed him? The homer in me would say he's already got something worked out where he wants to be back in Detroit. He's got a chance to win a ring here.
Agreed.
Okay? So he wants to be part of this. Like you've already educated us. He's very familiar with the culture. He likes the culture. He likes the staff. He likes the situation. It's going to happen soon. I thought it would have happened already, but I'm glad you were out in front of it a couple of weeks ago. I think more and more people in the chat and more people will understand that he's going to be a line and he's going to be a helpful piece to this if he can stay healthy.
Yeah,
I know you got to get back to the golf course. We're going to get to the mailbag when we come back, and we will tease a little Tigers tonight, the matchup against a team. I think this is a really important series. I'm not worried about them losing their division. I'm not worried about not making the playoffs. But there's something about playing against teams like this, and I'll give you some numbers to associate it with when we come back on the Braylon Edwards Show on Woodward Sports after this.
Hey, but first, you guys got to make sure that you read it there. Follow us on all social media platforms, and that is Facebook, X, Instagram, along with YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok for the latest sports news, live updates, and behind-the-scenes actions. You guys already know it. There's been cash giveaways, ticket giveaways, jersey giveaways, so much more, man. And you guys want to be a part of it. Don't miss out. Hit that follow button now and be a part of Detroit's #1 digital sports network. That's at Woodward Sports everywhere.
Why do we fight? We fight to protect the innocent, to hold the powerful accountable, to bring the oppressors to justice. Why do we fight? We fight to secure and preserve our civil liberties, to get each and every one of our clients the justice they deserve, and to make the lives of real people just like you whole again. ThenFights.com.
Walk into any Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men today. Open 7 days a week. Sit back, relax, and enjoy precision haircut, scalp massage, hot leather neck shave, and hot towel treatment from one of our talented stylists. Step up your game this season and take advantage of our $20 haircut special. Scan the QR code and get your coupon today. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, the ultimate haircut experience. Open 7 days a week. Walk-ins always welcome. Lady Jane's Haircuts for Men, it's wicked awesome.
Head to WoodwardSports.com and click on Shop. Get the latest in Detroit sports apparel and exclusive Woodward Sports gear. WoodwardSports.com can get the whole team outfitted. Love the Pistons, Red Wings, and Tigers? We got something for you, too. Shop online at WoodwardSports.com. Ever wonder what goes on inside the game?
Deep ball's got a man and got him. Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Join Braylon Edwards and Shep
Edwards has it. 10-5, touchdown.
on the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep,
Ball looks in zone. Got Edwards for the touchdown.
where they dive deep into the heart of sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m., they're bringing you expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and a fresh perspective on the sports you love. Don't miss it, only on the Woodward Sports Network. The boys of summer are ready to get back to the playoffs, and there's no better place to get your Tigers coverage than Woodward Sports. Join us all season long as we follow as our hometown Tigers claw and fight. This ball is gone. The boys are back in town. Feel the roar with Woodward Sports.
Let's go.
Yeah, try not to get too, caught in moments when it comes to baseball, to be honest with you. I think, and really in sports in general, I think it's really important to have some type of perspective. So when we say certain series are more important than others, I understand the debate, totally. I'm not discounting what Detroit did in Chicago and Minnesota. They win 2 series. They win 5 out of 7. You and I get a little greedy. You think they're better than Chicago. They are better than Chicago, so you expect them to sweep. You think they're better than Minnesota. They are better than Minnesota. You expect to sweep. That's just not the way baseball works. That's not the way sports works either. But they've got Houston coming to town today, guys. And Houston's a good baseball team. They are 3rd in all of baseball on average. They are 11th in all of baseball in on-base percentage. And from a pitching perspective, they are just behind Detroit in ERA. They're 12. Detroit is 11. But more importantly, they're number 1. Their pitching staff is number 1 in strikeouts. And Detroit has the 3rd most strikeouts. So those numbers, I think, are important. Houston also. I think walks, hits per inning pitch are really important. That is 4th. They rank 4th in WHIP. So we think, in general, that the Tigers' strength is pitching, among other things. Their base running is really good. Their defense on the road trip was very good. Their power on the road trip was very good. Houston doesn't have Detroit's power, but pitching-wise, like what they've got coming up here is going to be really interesting over these 3 games. Look at the second game and the third game. You got Hunter Brown against Tarek Skubal.
You know what?
That is going to be awesome.
As you're talking about that, awesome. I gotta cut in right there because Michigan Go Blue sent in a $4.99 super chat asking you this, Shep. Shep, I need your thoughts on the Skubal Brown matchup on TBS tomorrow night.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, this is what baseball is about, especially at this time of the year. I do think the Framber Valdez Charlie Morton is a big matchup too, and that's the series wrap-up. But I love power pitchers against one another. Now, sometimes it doesn't always work out, okay? But Hunter Brown is a tough SOB. And we all know how good Skubal is, although he has struggled in 2 of his last 3 starts. Which one is the key? I don't know. But tonight this will be very important because Jack Flaherty's throwing tonight. So let me tell you why. Jack Flaherty against Philadelphia and Toronto. Would you guys concur those are good baseball teams?
Yeah, definitely.
They're really good baseball teams, all right? Against Philly, he threw 6 innings, surrendered 2 hits and 1 earned run. Against Toronto, he threw 6 innings, gave up 5 hits, and no earned runs. And yet, against Chicago and Minnesota, 2 teams that are not very good, 2 teams that are weak, you would argue, among the weakest in the American League, against Chicago, 4 1/3, 8 hits, 5 earned runs. Against Minnesota, 4 2/3, 8 hits, 5 earned runs. What is it about Jack Flaherty that makes him, quote unquote, rise to the occasion against really good teams as of late and not so much against others? So, for example, Seattle's a really good hitting team. Seattle, he lasted 5 innings, gave up 4 hits and 2 earned runs. It's not awful, but it's not anything special either. What is it that allows him to dial in a little bit better against better teams over the last month or so? Look what he did against Washington. His line against Washington was bad. Doesn't look good against the Nationals when you give up 3 earned runs in 5 innings. Sure, he had 9 strikeouts, but he left in trouble, and Washington ends up winning that game. It's a very strange scenario. Tonight might, I hate the phrase, set the tone, but oftentimes that's the way it works. You're going to have 2 power pitchers tomorrow in Game 2, and Detroit is a team that has a lot of swing and miss, and Hunter Brown creates a lot of swing and miss. Framber Valdez creates a lot of swing and miss. I'm not going to try and snow job you here. I have no idea. I just know he's got a high ERA and a high WHIP when it comes to Spencer Arguetti. Okay? There's no relation to Dave Righetti. This guy's Spencer Arguetti. I don't know much about him, but I do know that when you want to measure yourself against certain teams, and Houston's probably feeling the same damn way, by the way. It's not like it's just us. We in Tiger Town here feel like, well, let's see what we're made of since we're going up against, Toronto, who's got the same number of wins, or going up against a division leader, or going up against a team that did really well at the trade deadline in Seattle. The other team's fan base is probably saying the same thing. You got to go up against a Tigers team that is pretty damn good, and you're facing one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in all of baseball in Game 2 of the series. What else do we got in the Super Chats?
Believe that the Tigers' demise it's right on their heels right now.
What's the demise?
There are some people who believe that they are not the same squad that they were before, just because they've hit a little bit of a rough patch. Now, in the beginning of the season, we saw a lot of good teams hit some rough stretches, over 10 to 20 games. Yeah. Some of these teams that are now doing better, some of these teams that we see surging, they hit their rough spots in the beginning of the season. We see the Tigers going through somewhat of a rough patch. And there are some fans whose confidence is shaken in what they can be as a World Series contender.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm trying to figure out how far you have to separate yourself from the quote-unquote rough patch for people to buy back in. So they've won 7 of 10.
Yeah.
Is that? Did you need them to go on an 11-game roll for you to do that? Their playoff percentage, in case people were wondering, is at 99.3%. Okay, that's what the playoff percentage
First
is
world
right
problems.
So if people, I'm not trying to tell you how to feel here, but who is it you're worried about in the American League? Can you tell me who you're worried about? And if you say the Yankees, I'm going to punch you in the kidney. Okay, so maybe it's Toronto. Maybe it's Toronto.
Fired up, Shep.
Okay, and Toronto's really good. But if you don't think Toronto's slightly concerned about Detroit, come on, it's not all clear sailing. You're 20 games over 500, and granted, there was a point where Cleveland got back to within 5.5. Well, guess what? You're a lot more comfortable now. Your 8.5 game lead is a lot more comfortable, is it not? I would think so. Again, I'm not going to try and convince you they're the best team in the American League like they were earlier. Because I think Seattle's made great strides. I think Houston's good. I think Toronto's really good. I think Boston's playing really good baseball. But guess what? Boston's hit a bit of a snag. They've lost 4 of their last 10, or I should say lost 5 of their last 10. So they're like 5-5 in their last 10. There's nothing special there either. All right? This is why so many of us, when the trade deadline came, wanted something a little bit stronger, because the league in general, not just the American League, the league in general is wide open. The Dodgers were seen as this juggernaut.
Yes.
Suddenly, San Diego passed them. Dodgers have leapfrogged them again. I mean, seriously, outside of Milwaukee, who's running away with things, who's the team you're deathly afraid of? And is that fan base any more fearful or less fearful of your team than you are of theirs? Probably not.
Man, you preaching over there, and they still have their doubts. I see Ken Matthews in the chat asking. He's asking. Yeah, will or can the Tigers win a World Series without a 300 hitter? That's his mailbag question.
Yeah, I absolutely think you can do that. I probably harken back to this way too often. There was only one 300 hitter on the Tigers in 1984. Alan Trammell. Nobody drove in 100 runs. Nobody won 20 games. Okay? And nobody hit more than, I think, I got to look this up. I think Lance Parrish had 29 home runs, maybe 30. You can look that up for me and let me know. I absolutely think you can do that.
Yeah. And I see Aaron to the Stone. He's leveling. He's like, Shep, you might need to help out our chat family, Shep. He says, Shep, I'm worried about the Mariners. They are stacked, and they've been killing it after trading for Suarez.
Yeah, they're really good. Yeah, I mean, and now remember this: they've lost 2 in a row, and they've only won 4 of their last 10. But the thing that scares me about the Mariners, I think their pitching is lights out. Absolutely love George Kirby. Brian Wu, is an all-star. Luis Castillo is rock solid. Logan Gilbert is rock solid. Emerson Hancock can get it done. They've got back-end lights-out stuff with their relievers. I like Seattle a lot. However, And they started off great when they made the trade, all the trades. But as of late, it's been a little bit of a stumble. There's no clear path for them either. But I wouldn't want to face them in the first round, not with that pitching. Their pitching more than their offense, for me, scares me.
Yeah, and you know what? I see Steve O'Baby in the chat. He sent in a mailbag, not even a question, just a statement of fact for him. He says, Matt Shepard, I am sorry, but as long as the Tigers are in first place, I am happy. Yeah. What more do Tiger fans want?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, if you're 20 games clear of 500, and I know some of it has been built up prior to the recent skid, but I do wonder why people get so concerned when things have turned around a little bit. Maybe it's the level of competition. Maybe you just don't think anybody. You're supposed to do what you did against Chicago. You're supposed to do what you did against Minnesota, and we'll soon find out. That to me is you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. When they lost the series to Minnesota, you thought they were garbage because they lost to a garbage team. When they beat Minnesota 3 out of 4, it's not enough for you because you think they were supposed to beat that team. In other words, how do we have an opinion then? And by the way, Lance Parrish had 33 homers in 84. Ooh. So that was it. Nobody hit more than 33. Nobody drove in more than 98 runs. Only one player hit 300, and nobody won 20 games.
We got a couple more questions here. Randall Smalls. Shout out to Randall Smalls, one of our staunch supporters. He says, when they call up Clark and McGonigal, will they be the favorites then?
They're not calling them up. They're not going to call them up.
Stop crushing his dreams.
Yeah. Sorry.
We got to be real with you, Randall. You
know I like them. I like what they're doing. I thought maybe they would be at AA a little bit sooner. What's the point? First of all, you can't call them both up. You can call up one pitcher, one position guy. So it's changed a little bit in September call-ups. And I think you've got guys at AAA. You know, if they call up Justin Henry Malloy, somebody like that, give him some punch off the bench, I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think either one of those kids are coming up, and I wouldn't bring them up either, to be honest with you.
Yep, and just one more here. This is Dante151 with the $4.99 super chat. Shout out to you for always supporting Dante. He says, when the Guardians got to 5.5 back, I was still not worried about them because I knew that they would skid, and no one from the AL Central will make it. Nobody
will make what?
The World Series? To clarify that. Is it no one will make the World Series from the AL Central?
Well, there's only one team in the AL Central that's going to make the playoffs. There's only one team. The wild card's going to come from the West and from the East.
Yeah.
So there's only one team, the Tigers. And I still think when they begin the postseason, the Tigers' odds will be as good as just about anybody else's. I'm not saying they'll be the favorite. They'll be just about as good as anybody else's. We can talk more about it tomorrow on the Braylon Edwards Show. I want to thank Ricky, Kool-Aid, and, of course, the man, Braylon Edwards. But most of all, you for your input into this program. It doesn't work without you. So glad you're with us in the chat. And we'll hope you're with us again tomorrow on a Tuesday edition of the Braylon Edwards Show on Woodward Sports. Have a great Monday, everybody.
Ever wonder what goes on inside the game?
Deep ball's got a man and got him. Touchdown, Braylon Edwards.
Join Braylon Edwards and Shep.
Edwards has it. 10-5, touchdown.
On the Braylon Edwards Show with Shep.
Ball looks in zone. Got Edwards for the touchdown.
Where they dive deep into the heart of sports. Weekdays from 2 to 4 p.m., they're bringing you expert analysis, exclusive interviews, and a fresh perspective on the sports you love. Don't miss it, only on the Woodward Sports Network.